Das Radical.
Iceland is often described as the world's largest village, meaning it's a whole country where everybody kind of knows each other or is somehow related with each other. But is that true though? Does everybody in Iceland really know everybody? Well, the short, easy answer to that is no, obviously not. I mean, we don't know absolutely everybody. I mean, when I sit on the bus or walk down the street or whatever, most of the people I encounter will be strangers to me. But still, this notion that we all know each other isn't actually that far off. And I also need to note that I live in this tiny speck of land known as Höfuðborgarsvæðið, or the capital city region, where 2/3 of the population live. And, you know, as is common for highly urbanized environments, the closer people are geographically, the less they will know about their neighbors or the people in their surrounding. I mean, for example, I don't know any of my neighbors here in the surrounding houses by their names. I would barely even recognize them. I wouldn't recognize them at all if I met them in the street. So yeah, there's that. However, when I still lived in this part of Iceland, Húnaþing Vestra, a region that has around 12 to 1300 people, then yeah, I knew all of my neighbors, and you know, I knew their kid's name most of the time, or and etc, etc. So yeah, obviously the smaller the community is that you come from, the more likely you are to know your neighbors. But on a grand scale, how well Icelanders know each other is, well, generally very well. Let's first talk about how related we are. I have been asked countless times by tourists whether or not it's true that we in Iceland have an app that we can use to see whether or not a person we are planning on having sex with is related to us or not, because there's an epidemic of people accidentally sleeping with their fourth cousin or third cousin or whatever, some relative that they haven't met, because people in Iceland are so related to each other. Well, the app does exist. I think it's called Íslendingabók. However, it wasn't invented for people to see if their soon-to-be bed partner, is bed partner a word? Anyway, are related to them or not. Now, the app was invented just so that people could check if they instantly if they are related or not, just mainly for curiosity's sake. For example, I don't have an account yet, but I plan to get one because I'm curious also to see more about my heritage. But just last weekend I was having dinner with some co-workers, and the husband of one of my colleagues from a different work area though, well, was talking to me, and you know, I told him where I was from, I mean originally, and he was like, "Whoa, you're from Húnaþing Vestra?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm from my family's farm is in Miðfjörður," and he was like, "Miðfjörður, you say?" And he whipped out his phone, and I entered my name into the Íslendingabók, and voila! Turns out that this guy that I had never met before, well, my great-grandfather, Sigvaldi Björnsson, and his great-grandmother were brother and sister. But my point is, this is something that happens a lot in Iceland. You will be talking to a complete stranger, and you know, they'll ask, you know, oh, where are you from? What do you do? And yeah, where are you from? Let's say they say a random village like Vopnafjörður. They'll be like, "Hey, I know somebody who's from Vopnafjörður," and be like, yeah, my buddy, yeah, I worked with a guy named Alex who is from Vopnafjörður," and you'll be like, "Alex, he's married to my sister's best friend," or whatever. So yeah, you'll get conversations like this all the time in Iceland, you know, where two complete strangers will find that they know somebody who they both know. Like, for example, I go carpooling a lot. I use a website called Samferða.is, where, you know, let's say I want to go to Akureyri from Reykjavik, and, you know, find somebody who's going there the same day I am, who wants to, you know, have some passengers with them. And, well, and you can't imagine, I've used this website for 7 years now, and the amount of times that I have met my father's former classmates. I know, very specific, but that just goes to show the amount of times you actually meet somebody that is related to you or related to somebody you know. So I think that really speaks volume. And actually it was during one of these car rides that I found out that my grandfather had actually had a child in a previous relationship that I had never even heard of before. And that's partly because sadly this my uncle, this other child of my grandfather, died long before I was born, so rest in peace, Hörður, who I never met. But no, yeah, that is one great example, I believe, of explaining how related and close all Icelanders are. Now, when you are born and raised in Reykjavik, things are a little bit less like that. You'll not have as many instances of, oh, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Breiðholt. It's like, yeah, I'm from Breiðholt. Yeah, well, I know hundreds of people from Breiðholt. Breiðholt is one of Reykjavik's neighborhoods or boroughs or whatever you want to call it. So, yeah, that's of course is a little bit different, but very often you can also find, hey, yeah, you're from Breiðholt, what school did you go to? And they'll maybe say Breiðholt Skóli, and like, oh, my first girlfriend was from Breiðholt Skóli, and on it goes. So, yes, and I want to show you one more example of how close most of us Icelanders are. I made a survey on Facebook. I've invited 20 random friends onto a Facebook chat or a group, and I asked them like a survey question, just how many of the following like famous important Icelanders have you met? And so yeah, I just want to take a quick look at that. So yeah, I made this Facebook survey, and 18 out of the 20 friends that I submitted it to answered it, and and in the survey I had a list of several Icelandic celebrities and political titles or whatever, and here's just a quick rundown on how many of my friends had met these people. So 9 out of them, so half of them, have met a Icelandic Eurovision singer. So wow, I find that to be I thought that was the most curious thing because I've met one Eurovision singer that I can remember, Greta Salome, and but still, I'm not impressed. I mean, once you meet an Icelandic Eurovision singer that actually won Eurovision, then I'll be impressed. But anyway, and 6 or 1/3 of them said that they had met Jón Gnarr, former mayor and a comedian, local comedian. 5 of them had met Steindi Jr. I'm guessing these 5s were probably all my co-workers, because that's how I have also met him. 5 also responded that they have met Bubbi Morthens. Bubbi Morthens is Iceland's most famous singer. Well, okay, you may be wondering, like, wait, is he really more famous than Björk? Well, I mean, I guess obviously internationally Björk, hands down. I mean, you probably didn't even know who Bubbi Morthens was until I mentioned him right now. But but here in Iceland, locally, I guess they both probably have the same name recognition, but in terms of amount of songs that you hear in the radio, then yeah, Bubbi Morthens, hands down. Like, if you come to Iceland for the first time and just listen constantly to Icelandic radio, you probably think that he wrote and sang like 1/5 out of every Icelandic pop song ever. So yeah. By the way, did I mention that? Yeah. So 5 people claimed that they had met Bubbi Morthens, but only 1 wrote in that they had met Björk. But to be fair, Björk, I think she mostly lives in London or somewhere, so you're not gonna run into her a whole lot here in Reykjavik. Although, I haven't met Björk myself, but my mom... that's another thing. Everybody in Iceland has a Björk story. Like, they always know at least somebody who met Björk. It's, well, that's what you get, you know, if that's your most internationally recognized celebrity. But yeah, my mom had a babysitter, and that babysitter invited some friends over, and one of these friends was Björk. Björk was at the time already locally famous, but before she launched the debut and, you know, became an international star. Next on the list is the President of Iceland. So 4 out of the 18 have met the President of Iceland, and surprisingly, only one answered that they've met the Prime Minister of Iceland. Oh, I was actually very surprised by that. I would have thought that would have been equal to how many met the President, but I don't know, maybe the President just travels around more and meets more people. And yes, 3 answered that they had met some other minister, Minister of Interior, Minister of Finance or whatever. 2 said that they have met Friðrik Thor Friðriksson, who is one of Iceland's most famous directors. I have not only met Friðrik Thor, but I even have an autograph of his work. This is the movie Skipturnar, or White Whales in English. It was his first movie ever, and yeah, I got him to sign it for me. I just had to brag. I also own 2 CDs by Nylon, autographed. Okay, and the only 2 other names that there were 1 or 2 other names on the list that nobody had met, and yeah, 1 person has met the Bishop of Iceland, and 1 person has met Frikki Punk. So yeah, that was a very small basic insight onto how small Iceland is and how well everybody knows each other. So yeah, it's so basically everybody doesn't know everybody, but if you meet a complete stranger, like if you're from Iceland and you meet a complete stranger, usually you'd only have to talk for a few minutes until you find something that connects you, the 2 of you. You worked for the same company, you went to the same school, know somebody from that school, and blah blah blah. Oh, you know Gummi? Yes, I know Gummi, and yeah, that's how it goes here. So yeah, thank you for watching. I'm Johan Bjarnason, and like and subscribe.
Das Radikal.